Right, good morning, welcome back. Now the perfect sharp drill bit. Have you ever noticed if you watch a butcher or a chef cutting up a carcass, you'll see how they keep stopping, reaching for the knife steel, sharpening that edge, and then they'll carry on cutting for a while, and then they'll come back to that sharpening steel and they'll give it another edge and they'll carry on cutting. It's a constant process because if you talk to a butcher, they'll tell you that a sharp knife is far safer and more efficient than a blunt knife. And you're more likely to injure yourself with a blunt knife because you're pulling on it harder. And the same goes exactly for a drill bit as well. Now I've been including a few clips of drill bit sharpening on my grinder in recent videos with the fabrication, and a few of you said in the comments that it's something you'd like to do for yourself. So I thought I'd make this video of just the basic principles to see if it's something you could pick up too. Now all tools wear out inevitably, and for a drill bit, as it's a cutting tool, that takes the form of going blunt. And there are two ways you can resharpen them so you can simply keep using them for years on end. Okay, there are two methods of doing it. Now you can buy yourself one of those little grinding machines that you put the drill bit into the hole and you turn it as you switch the machine on. It's got a little grindstone inside and it grinds it down and it makes the perfect angle. But those grindstones, unless you can replace them inside the machine, then the whole thing is finite, because as soon as that grindstone wears out, it's no good to you. The whole thing's in the bin. You might as well just buy new drills, and even that is wasteful. So the simple way is use your grinder, and for that you need three things. Well, your grinder is one of them. The other is a dressing tool to make the stone nice and flat, and of course you need an angle guide to check the angle on the end of the drill and make sure you've ground it right. Now if you're going to grind tools, that's drill bits or lathe cutting tools, all of that on a grind stone, then the stone in question needs to be perfect. The front face of that stone needs to be dead square and have no debris stuck to it, like pieces of aluminium or brass where you've been grinding that, and you don't want any grooves in it where you might have been grinding other stuff. So you've got to dress the stone before you start grinding tools like drill bits, and for that you need a diamond edge dressing tool, and this is how these work. Now the point that you're going to grind into the end of it needs to be 118 degrees. You don't need a fancy gauge to measure that. You can simply take two hexagonal nuts, glue them together on their flats, and the valley in between them will be 120 degrees, and that is as close as you need it to be to get a guide for what you're going to grind, like this. Perfect angle guide. Now, sharpening drills by hand on a grinder is a bit of an old-fashioned practice, but it's not complex or difficult, it's just practice. Now, a drill bit has effectively two cutting edges, one either side, and they have to be sharpened independently of each other, so they work together. Now, when you grind each side, naturally the area behind that leading cutting edge has to fall away, has to have a relief so it doesn't rub against the job. You only want that sharp cutting edge itself touching. So when you grind it, you've got to grind back, away and down. So the easiest way I think is just to go a real close up on the stone with the stone switched off, and I'll show you the action, the rolling action of the drill bit against the stone, so you can see the way that you grind that back edge away to create a sharp front edge. I'll show you that first to see if it makes sense. Right, we're looking to create this grinding pattern on the drill tip, so line it up so it's flat against the face of the stone, and the action is to lean it into the grinder gently with this in and out repeating action, avoiding any contact with this front cutting edge. That will develop all by itself when you grind this back relief area away. So you just in the stone and out, and in and out in a rotating action, and then turn it over after 2 or 3 passes and do the other side. In and out, in and out. And don't let it get too hot, because as soon as it starts to get a little bit too hot to touch, drop it in some water to cool it down. All right, there we are. A simple technique, and as I'm sure you'll agree, it just takes practice once you understand the principle of how to lay it into the stone, turn over and do the other side and keep it nice and cool at the same time. All right, next, what if I've broken off a drill bit, literally snapped it off in a job? Stuff like drilling a chassis in a vehicle is big heavyweight metal and it's not easy when you're reaching up at an angle, the drill goes out of line a bit and just shears off. It's a nasty jagged mess. Is it in the bin? No, not at all. Get your disc cutter, lop the end off so it's flat on the grinder, and you will, with a bit of patience, be able to grind that 118 degrees back and get those angles just right. And it's good practice as well to get your drills back to absolute health. If you sharpen and rehone a drill almost every time you use it, they won't go blunt and they'll cut holes far easier every time. Right, and finally, I think as we know with all these things, heat is your enemy when it comes to cutting metal. The hotter it gets, the more it expands, then the drill starts to go dull. Although it's called high-speed steel, it pays to slow it down. Slow your drill press down, slow down the gearing in your drill press so it runs as slowly as possible. Use a cutting and cooling agent to cool everything down. And as the old saying goes, let the tool do the cutting. So with a drill press or a hand drill, don't lean on it. Make sure you let the tool go through at its own pace and you'll get nice, accurate holes every time. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.